turn up my hearing aid or you turn up your mic. One of the two. I guess we're on the air.
Here we go.
Maybe I ought to write Belltone and see if I get some new batteries. I'll get some new ones for that commercial. Hey, Viewpoint, a program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. And this morning we have a couple of great personalities. One outstanding, the other just goes, he passes the plate. The other fellow looks at him over the communion rail and says, is that all you're going to bring? Personalities and perspectives. Thank God we need the politicians out today. Give them a break somewhere. Even a 7-year-old boy on the street selling cocoa for the wall.
That's such a good story.
Say, why don't you introduce our guests? Because they've driven hard miles to get here.
Were you frightened when you stepped out the door?
He's a great driver.
Okay,
yes.
He's a chauffeur.
That's right, correct.
No, he's the Uber.
I often don't have that kind of opportunity.
He's the Uber man for Holy Family.
I did have my seatbelt on, though, and prayed the whole way.
Good idea. Well, our guests today are representing St. Patrick's Church.
Oh, I see. I caught her with a foot in the hole already.
That's right.
Did I do the wrong one?
Well, no, that was not inclusive. It's Holy Family. It used to be St. Patrick's.
I know that at some level, but that wasn't the level I was talking from.
And as I told Father Ed Westerman one time when we had a going-away party for Father Ed, he was a great pianist, by the way. And I said, I was representing the Chamber of Commerce. Big deal. I said, given Saturday, the Irish should get together and beat up with the Dutch, and the next Saturday the Dutch would get together and beat the heck out of the Irish, and on the third Saturday they'd gang up and beat the whale out of us Protestants. Father Ed thought that was a good story. So anyway, St. Patrick's has morphed into Holy Family, my dear.
Yes, of course it did, years and years ago. But these guys are here from Holy Family, and they are going to be having a Mardi Gras. And the proceeds from all the activities that will be taking place are for a little bit of rehabbing on the building. What year was your building built?
1903.
That's older than I am.
Just after Jeff came.
That is, yes.
Yeah, Father Laible came in 1904.
Yeah, that's right, absolutely. That's why I have gray hair.
There's some days he feels that way, too.
And with Father Laible is Wayne Cox, and they're working very hard toward this effort.
Correct.
Who came up with this? Was it Caroline?
There was a committee that came together and presented the idea to me about maybe 6 months ago. There's a renovation committee, from parishioners who are working on the interior renovation of Holy Family Church when we get to that point. So it's a group of committee members that were looking for ways to raise money to help with the renovation of the church.
All churches have to have people who do things for the church, just because things need to get done.
Has to be done, yeah.
Correct.
And we have some people in every church, every congregation, every denomination, a few, maybe one or two, maybe 8 or 9, that see things to get done. And by Jove, when it's all said and done, things get done because of volunteerism.
That's right.
So I guess our kudos today will be the volunteers at Holy Family who have kicked this thing off and got it. Now we're all going to go gamble. We're all going to go dance at the...
have a good time,
Absolutely.
Enjoy one another's company, get to know one another better.
A lot of raffles and things,
Correct.
too.
Yes, we have a silent auction and also a live auction.
Yes.
And so there's several items that have been donated from businesses in the area, which we're very grateful for.
Let's do that right now.
And so people will have an opportunity to bid on these various events, and hopefully that will help with raising money for the interior renovation.
I want to throw something in here real quick because Father is a very modest man. If you ever watch,
they teach them that.
I've noticed that.
If you ever watch public television, you're going to hear you've heard of the bread monk. Yeah. He's a priest who did the cooking.
Yeah. Classmate of mine from high school, Father Dominic Garamoni.
Yep. Father
Oh.
Dominic was actually. Were you roommates at one time at college?
No,
or-
but we've known each other since we were in high school, and then we were in college together for a while. So he's a Benedictine monk, yeah.
And
Very
Father
good.
Laible he won't tell anyone, but he is actually, I would consider him a chef, because Father is quite an accomplished cook, and that's one of the items of the Mardi Gras.
Yes, I will
Well,
be.
you beat me, Father. I'm a lousy cook, but I don't cook very often.
Really? Well, come over and wait, and I'll put on a meal for you.
Oh,
or
God.
better yet, why don't you could bid on this an evening with Father Laible and friends. We're going to have dinner for 6, and on the way here today, I asked Wayne if he would help me. He's agreed because he's also a very good
He
cook.
can be like the sous chef.
I'm going to be his sous
Yeah,
chef.
that's right. Yeah, I don't know if I'm really good, but I certainly know how to do it. But anyways, it would be a great evening. So we'd love to have you.
Oh, gosh. Well,
Oh, golly, is what I have to say.
We'd love to have Bill too, and your lovely wife.
I have a certain specialty in the kitchen. It'd be the liquid preparation. Well, we'd consecrate a little more than the communion wine.
Bigger cup.
Let's get serious a minute, Father Lively, about what precipitated the need for this, because that's a lovely old church. Been here, golly, I've forgotten now. It's been there ever since my lifetime. So that's
02, they said.
02.
Right?
03, I believe. The cornerstone, it says 1903. And it'll say St. Patrick's Church, 1903.
So, like all great buildings, St. Patrick's in those days evolved into Holy Family, requires some tender, loving care. And it got to be a little deeper and a little more tender and a little more loving than we thought, because any projection, when you start a projection like that, it always takes more. And,
It does, and it had been many
you've
years
done
since
great. So let's
anything.
just tell us about the history of why we really have to need the money for this.
Well, it had been
It's a
many
great
years
project.
since the church had really had any kind of major maintenance done on it. And so, as you mentioned, Bill, like any building, you've got to keep it up, whether it be your home or a business, and certainly a church. And if you don't keep it up, it's going to fall down around you. And so, it got to the point where we realized we had to do something in order to maintain the beauty of our church and make it better for the next generation. And so, we started with the renovation of the exterior, which we've done quite a bit of renovation of the exterior. We've also had to strengthen the trusses on the interior, which you can't see. And so once we get these projects done, the exterior addition of some bathrooms and some additional like bride's rooms, and then we'll be able to move on to the interior renovations. It's been many years since the interior has been brought up to date as well.
Before you undertook this facelifting, was it true that there was no bathroom in the church?
There's never been a bathroom in the church. That wasn't on people's
had-
radar in 1903.
Preach without behind.
People didn't have bathrooms?
Not in churches. All of the churches that I've served in that were built during this era, none of them had
Isn't that
bathrooms.
interesting?
It's on the inside. So in 1903 was a different world.
Isn't that the berries?
Yeah.
So sometimes when Mass ran a little faster, you knew that somebody had to get out of there for a minute.
You know, when you started this, it was really kind of ended up being like a treasure hunt. You found some things you didn't know you had.
Yes, and that's where Wayne can talk about finding some of the treasures
Yeah.
that
I
we
did.
have.
I just went home and I started with good old Google, and I did a Google search on St. Patrick Church, and I got a hit at the University of Illinois Archives,
Really?
and I wondered what that was. So as I investigated it, I found that there was an entire archive about our church, about the Lincoln Church,
Interesting.
at the University of Illinois. The architect was George Stotterher, and
Pardon?
George Stotterher was his name, and he designed, I want to say, roughly the number's right around 500 churches. When he passed away, his family donated all of his files and pictures and everything,
neat. Yeah.
blueprints, to the U of I Alumni Archive. So I went over there. It was 3 trips. The first trip, I found correspondence about boilers and at one time they were proposing a tunnel be built between the nun house, the convent, and the church, so the nuns could get to the church without going outside.
In the weather.
They ended up not doing that. And then there was just little things like that. And the second time that I went, I found a few pictures. I found a glass negative of the interior of the church, and then we found the second trip, I'm sorry, we found the blueprints too, and we found an original painting of the concept of what they were presenting to the church and said, this is what we want to build. So that was a great find.
Yes.
But when we got the blueprints, we brought them back, and one of our parishioners was going through the blueprints, and he found a name of a town in Ohio written on one of the blueprints. And he thought, well, what is this about? And he began to, so we researched that. I went back to the archive. I found the church in Ohio. Inside of their file, a picture had been misfiled. It was inside the Ohio church, and it was a side view. So we were able to see all of the ornate work that had been done on in the half lunas in the church itself. Just beautiful pictures of saints that were painted up in the walls, and just beautiful, beautiful work. So we were able to do that, and my wife and I went to Ohio and were able to actually see this church, and it is an exact duplicate of our church, only reversed. And it's white stone instead of red brick, so we call it our maternal twin.
One of the harbingers of problems is when we had to take down that storied old bell tower.
The bell tower, correct.
And we just hated to see that go, whether you're a member of the church or not. It was an integral part of our community. And it's a shame that it was necessary to do that. But
when they did the church, when they originally proposed it, the bell tower was supposed to be on the opposite side. Really? And the church in Ohio did follow the plan, and their bell tower is still strong. And I often wonder, and I don't know this, but I often wonder, had they not flipped the bell tower, would the wall, the weather would have been facing that. Instead of going into between the church and the bell tower would have acted as a shield. And I wonder if it would have preserved the bell tower. But I think they did it because of the roads, how the streets were laid out, and they wanted that on the prominent side.
Sure.
And it's also, too, it could be the material that they used. The particular brick that we had at St. Patrick's, now Holy Family, was so deteriorated that for safety's sake we had to take it down. But it was a beautiful part of our church.
You didn't happen to run across the price of the original church, did you?
Oh, my.
Actually.
Did you?
In one of the files, but honestly, I cannot at this point remember. But I can guarantee you that it was not. It was a very, very cheap amount.
Like 25,000, maybe, something like that.
Yeah.
But remember, it's
Isn't that
1903.
amazing?
So
and look at that church.
Yeah.
And
Speaking of
still
churches,
standing.
Recently went to St. Patrick's over in El Dorado in Decatur. Storied old German, looked like it said Saint, had the Irish name, but it was the old European architecture. Gorgeous church over there, just gorgeous. Another old timer.
I know what you're talking about. I think that the church in Decatur, because I've learned more about churches than I've ever, Our church is actually called Romanesque, is the style of our church. Okay. And I think the style you're talking about would be called Gothic. Yes, and I now know that. Gothic means that it comes to a point at the top of the archway, and if it's a rounded archway, then it's Romanesque. I now know we are the only Romanesque church in Logan County, and if you see the negatives, if you could see the photo of what our church looked like, I would go as far as to say it was one of the most beautiful churches in our entire county when it was first built. And I know that it was one of the first to have electrical lighting, and they had lights everywhere.
They really got into it.
They did it.
They had electricity, but no bathroom.
Yeah, but no bathroom.
But they had lights.
They had lights, though.
All that knowledge, Mr. Cox, does that help you in the confessional booth at all?
Well, it's given me a greater appreciation for the church, but I'll let Father speak on that side of the coin.
Well, you ran into lots of work, and suddenly we're talking about lots of money. And so it's necessary to go out and go beyond the congregation and get some serious money raised. And so that's what we're talking about this morning. Miss Elliott, I know, was very involved in that. she reminded me and made me feel a heck of a lot older that her mother worked for me. And didn't help my day any. But in any event, it was nice to visit with her, and she's involved in this project and kind of set the ball rolling so that we'd get these fine guests up here this morning. And then she was able to duck out because of the weather. So good for her. You're smarter than I am, girlie. So what is the goal in money to be? You established that you need X number of dollars.
Our original goal for the renovation of this project of the church was $750,000. That was our original goal, and that's what we proposed to our parishioners. The pledges that were made after we had our capital campaign was $943,000. We've lost some pledges because, of course, people pass on and people lose their jobs and those kinds of things. So right now we're looking at bringing in $868,000. So we just have to collect about 42,000 more, so you see how generous our people have been. And then in addition to that, years ago, you might remember, I'm not originally from Lincoln, that the Feldmans had like a bridal shop downtown. Do you remember that? The Feldman, Alice Feldman's family had a bridal shop downtown. They left some money when they passed away to Holy Family for a suitable memorial to be built in their honor, and so they left about 300.
Now, would you repeat that?
The Feldman.
Yes.
The Feldman family had a bridal shop, I understand,
and
downtown,
and
when they
left
passed
you money
on.
for...
They left their estate to Holy Family to be used for a suitable memorial in their honor. And so we were able to use the money that they gave, which is about $340,000, to put together with this project. So the total project that we're looking at for the restoration and the addition is $1.2 million.
And well spent at that.
My goodness, if those people would come back and hear that figure, they'd be blown away, wouldn't they?
I think so. I think this will be a beautiful honor. So we're specifically using the Feldman money for the small addition that we're putting on that will include restrooms, but also a small room as like a bride for brides to get ready, but also rooms that we can use for other events as well.
And our ADA compliancy. We'll have.
Yes.
You'll be able to.
It'll be handicap accessible now. And we'll have so you'll be able to drive in. There'll be like an overhang. You drive in, you let your loved one off. You'll have handicap accessibility, so you can get a wheelchair in. It'll be easier also for funerals. So the funeral homes can drive in off to the side of Logan Street, and rather than bringing a casket up those steep steps, we can bring the casket now in very easily into the side entrance of the church.
Yeah.
Not to be light, but so you can roll them in and roll them out.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
Sorry.
Well, you have to be practical,
I'm being real.
Yes.
That's just the way it is.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, it'd be what it be.
I'll remember till they carry me out. I was on the business end of the heavy end of the casket, and it was heavy. Dick Kerrigan was the funeral director then. He said, "Get a hold of this thing. Get a hold of this quick." I was about ready to drop my dear
Oh my
friend.
goodness.
Oh gosh,
I
oh
remember
dear.
that so well. The little things that stick with you. You really desperately needed to have a lot of physical work done.
We did.
Later, being what it does to older buildings. I'm kind of intrigued, and I must darken your door and step in and see what goes to the north there as you step inside of your sanctuary.
Please do. We'll be happy to give you a tour. It's almost finished. A couple of more months, and we should be ready to go.
I drop $5 a door. Would that give me my name under the window?
Oh, undoubtedly.
If you buy my dinner, I'll give you a special tour.
I'd buy your dinner anywhere.
There you go. Be sure and bring your lovely wife.
Even at Old Joe's, I'd buy.
Can you talk a little bit about the windows that you found? Did you have a clue that they'd be there?
Well, we knew from the old pictures that they were there. And it's probably one of the first things you saw, Wayne, when you
Right.
found these original pictures.
So we were having some tuck pointing done on the exterior of the church, and Deacon Wendell Lowry, and I were having a conversation, and I said, could we have one of the tuck pointers just for laughs? Take one of those bricks out and let's just see if those windows are in there. We had a feeling that there might be windows in there. You couldn't see them from the inside or the outside. They were bricked over, and then a wall was built over them. So they pulled one brick out, and sure enough, the windows were literally inside the wall. So that's kind of how that happened, and so we took the bricks out, and we some people stepped forward and said that they wanted to make those windows. They wanted them restored. So they restored the windows. Were sent to Jacksonville Art Glass.
Jacksonville Art Glass, which did the restoration of the rest of our windows in our first campaign, came back and came back with their men. And two of the windows, the smaller windows, were in fairly decent shape. The main window above the altar, which is the crucifixion scene, was really in shambles, I believe, Wayne, wasn't it? They were picking it up in pieces.
Yeah, they think that it was either, they don't know if it was from settling or if it was just from where they had done brickwork previously, that the window had been broken. So they literally had to restore the entire window. They were able to get some of the glass, but they had to reconstruct it. They used the photos that we found in Champaign so that they could reconstruct that.
And they also have an artist from Germany at Jacksonville Art Glass, and so he is an artist in stained glass windows, and he's really spent his whole professional career. And so he was able
for you to find people like that
he was able to
here in
redesign
Central
the window,
Illinois.
and it's beautiful. It really
So
is.
we're here doing this morning a commercial. And if we're going to do commercial for the church, in order for us to do the commercial for our Holy Family, we're going to have to recognize some sponsors. Okay. So if Mr. Ash if he can move the cat off of the control board, we'll have a few commercials. Good morning. Welcome back to Viewpoint, your program of personalities, politicians, and perspectives. Our guest this morning, we're talking about raising money. Politicians have been doing that forever, and for all the good that does for the country. Our guest this morning, Wayne Cox, a communicant with Father Jeffrey Laible, and one of the indefatigable workers that all churches find necessary to get things done. And if Wayne can't heal you, his wife, Dr. Melissa Cox, will make you a heck of a lot better. So she won't practice roll them in and roll them out. Father Jeff Laible, you've been with us since got out of seminary, sir?
I'm sorry?
Was ours our first C when you got out of seminary?
No. I had been a priest quite a long time before I came to Lincoln.
You went to New Holland and Burtonview to start with, the cathedral in Burtonview.
The cathedral in Burtonview.
So in any event, we're on a serious matter. We're here to talk about Holy Family and the Mardi Gras, which is coming up this Saturday at Knights of Columbus. And I think we ought to talk about that just a little bit and blow a little smoke for that, because the purpose of that is not just to get people together and have a bump or two and have a little fun. There's a more noble purpose, and that is bring an extra check. And if you can't get an extra check, maybe I could cash your check for you. We want to raise some money for our Holy Family. And the reason for that is they've had a very, very, very significant rehabbing of the building. And Holy Family, formerly St. Patrick's, has a storied history in this community. St. Patrick's on the corner of Union and 4th. And down the block, this beautiful old St. Mary's, which we lost to a fire many years back. And we had storied priests in those days too. Not the Padres. Wouldn't you be quiet while I'm on the air, please?
Well, you have a call.
You got a call.
You have a call.
We have a call? Oh. All right. Now share a headset, gentlemen.
Go ahead, Father.
So you can tell who's calling. Go right ahead, Judy. Okay. Thank you. Yes, go right ahead, caller.
Hello, Bill. This
Good
is
morning.
Laura Elliott, the one that you said
I don't think we're hooked up that Jeff or James.
Actually, it was because I
The cat's on
surgery
the caller. We'll be patient.
But,
We'll take the cat out to the. We try it again? Go right ahead, please.
can you hear me now?
Can you hear him? Maybe you can relay them with a set of headsets. You want to try these?
They're there.
Okay. Here, you want to try these? See if you can hear them. I can't hear them.
That's okay.
We're going to try once. We're going to try once again, caller. Let's try once again. There's a connection. We're on? No, we're gone. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry about that. We apologize.
Abel's going to catch it after we sign off.
We apologize to the caller. We couldn't get to the switchboard fast enough. So in any event, we were talking about the priest of the old days. And in those kinds of days, they were storied. Father White, and Father Leo Hinkle was Saint Mary's. In those days, when they called it the Dutch Church and the Irish Church, that's just the way it was. And we had Father White and Father Leo P. Hinkle, and you have to be old to remember that, folks. Maybe I'm the only one left, and if I am, I'm proud to remember them. In any event, we have a serious job to do. And we're going to start that really more seriously. We've got the pledges have been coming in, but we need to have some serious money. So, what are the hours when we start this Mardi Gras here, gentlemen?
The doors open at 6 p.m. on Saturday night at the Knights of Columbus.
Now, this is going to be a fun evening.
It'll be a great evening.
They're going to have some auctions. Silent auctions?
We have a silent auction and also a live auction where we have several items that have been donated by businesses in the area as well as out of the area. And also other people that have come forward with giving their time and their efforts and their donations, which we're very grateful for.
We'll have, excuse me, we will have the Patty Diener Band is going to be performing there, and a lot of people who are in the music scene know about Patty Diener. She is a very accomplished musician, as well as her husband. They are actually, her husband called in a lot of favors, so their band that will be there this year, we have some truly A-list Illinois, Iowa, Kentucky, and Missouri musicians that are all coming for this event. A few of people that I am friends with, when they saw the post, they were just ecstatic. One person from North Carolina said, I wish I could come. I wish I could be there, because they really
just
follow.
To hear them.
Yes, just to hear them. They are wonderful. This year, our chefs convention was in New Orleans, so I learned a lot of techniques down there, and we're going to have authentic New Orleans cooking. It's going to be there's jambalaya, there's going to be gumbo, and king cake. Sue, one of our parishioners, is going to be making the king cake, and it's going to be great.
The musicians alone, obviously they're first-class musicians, and for those of us who have a hankering to go to jazz gigs, which they used to have in Decatur all the time, and it kind of fell apart. Money. It takes a lot of money to bring these musicians in over there in Decatur, and it was a big deal, the annual Judy Jazz Society gig, and so this is a kind of a better than a small substitute to come out there and just hear those musicians come out there. Now
it'll be a great evening. And if people need more information, they can always go to our website, LoganCountyCatholic.org, and there's more information there on our website about the Mardi Gras.
Let's repeat that website again, please.
LoganCountyCatholic.org.
LoganCountyCatholic.org. Well,
that's our website.
Well, that's appropriate, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Obviously, it covers all 4 of our Catholic churches in Logan County. But
now, if you said Logan County Lutheran, that just would be misleading.
Well, it would be, yes, yes.
I like that.
Thank you.
By the way, I want to publicly acknowledge a public service that Mr. Mike Hagan has done for Holy Family. He's the answering service on your, I recognize his voice, so I know it had to be Mike, on your, unless it was Wayne Cox.
No, it definitely was not Wayne Cox.
Anyway, good job, Mike. I have to extend doff me fedora to you, Mr. Egan's. So, this Saturday night, 6 o'clock, come prepared to enjoy yourself. There are not only the great food, the great music, the great cause that's involved there. Don't think about it spending money. Think about an investment in our community, because that's exactly what it is.
And if I could interject something there that I think that should be mentioned as far as the band goes, at 8:30 when the meal is completed, because there are 2 levels. So if you're coming for the dinner, but at 8:30 we'll be opening the doors to, if anyone wants to just come out and enjoy the band or what have you. It's just going to be like a $10 charge per person, and they can pay at the door. And there actually will probably still be some auction items, so they might even. There are some great that New Orleans it's like a condo in New Orleans for 3 or 4 days or something like that. I don't know that
that's a big deal.
It is, because if you want to go somewhere, if you're a foodie, New Orleans is the place.
Here are all the auction items. I'm going to pass them on to Bill and Judy. So yeah, it'd be great to have everybody come out, and it's also an opportunity for me to thank not just the committee who's helping with the interior renovation, but we've had so many parishioners that have come forward to help with the restoration of the church. And so I want to thank them as well as all of those who have made donations for the restoration of our church.
There's a very significant list on your silent auction here.
Yes, it is. And there's a live auction
also. There's some really nice...
the committee has got all that together. The Mardi Gras committee has worked very hard to...
well, they sure have.
Yeah.
You can tell just by the brochure.
Right.
The thought that's gone into this. Your whole congregation must be behind this.
Absolutely, they are.
What was the year of the first remodeling when they covered the windows?
Oh boy.
That is a good question, and we've never really been able to find the answer on that. I mean, I've talked with the parishioners, some of our senior members, and they just can't
They've all been rolled out.
They can't give a specific date. They remember what it was like before the wall was up, but they don't, the wall behind the main altar, but they don't, no one so far has been able to give me an exact date, or Wayne an exact date on when those windows were covered up. But if anyone who's listening, if anyone has that date, we would certainly be, we would love to know that information.
That would be fun to know.
It would
just for the heck of it.
Yes, it would be.
I just discovered a major auction item.
Uh-oh.
L103, L13, an evening with Father Laible and friends.
There you go.
Now here we go. Dinner made in your own home by Father Laible for up to 6.
And sous chef me, apparently.
Yes, Wayne will be there to help me.
Well, that's right. We do have a man with considerable culinary arts behind him, so that will be good to have a backup. That'd be very, of a serious note, that'd be a very interesting, that auction item ought to do well.
I hope so. Remember, it's for a good cause.
I can just see a lot of people trying to cover their bases a little bit. Having Father in their house.
I can bless the house too while I'm there,
Yeah.
I'll bring holy water.
Oh, see, I can't even offer that service.
Yeah.
But there are a number of items on these auctions, and then just the fun of sitting around and watching people bid against one another for such a good cause.
And the joy of the music that you've arranged.
And just the fun of the evening. The fact that we can get together and enjoy one another's company.
And the attire is going to be casual or dress, whatever. We really just wanted to make it all inclusive. So, age is not an issue.
Not a dress code.
Dress code. If you want to dress up, dress up. If you want to dress down, dress down. Just come. Even if you don't have a mask, we've got masks.
To a point.
Oh, really? Yes, that's a big part of the Mardi Gras.
I see people on the street every day that don't understand that dress up, dress down code. They have no conception of what dress down is, and they sure as heck wouldn't know what about dress UP is. They don't know. In any event, this is going to be a fun evening. A lot of volunteers stepped up to the plate on this, and it takes that. Now,
we best tell people not to go to Holy Family for the festivities. You go to the
Knights of
KC's.
Columbus. That's correct.
Yes, so otherwise it'll be dark, and you could fall.
That's right. At 6 o'clock it'll be dark.
The festival booths will all be full before it ever gets started. How many do you anticipate that we might run through those doors out there? 400 or 500?
We have the capacity for 300 in the room.
Correct.
That'd be great to see it full all the time.
Wouldn't it be wonderful? That would be wonderful.
We have a new fire chief. It'd be nice to have him stand there and say, we have to wait till 3 to come out for 2 to go in.
Yes, that would be a happy problem.
Yes, that would be a great problem to have.
From his mouth to God's
That's
ear.
right. And the thing is, people will be able to see the results of their good work and their donations, just as we're seeing now with this small addition, onto the church. You can actually see where your money's going. So.
Yes.
Well, it's Holy Family Church, but it's a community church.
Right.
It's an important part of our integration of our community, and boy, look at my age, and I remember as a little boy, so it's been there a long time. Unfortunately, I remember almost all the ins and outs of. I even know where the back door is, and I had to know the secret word to get in. Wayne, tell us a little bit about you've expanded on your hobby, which has become a lot more than a hobby to you. Your culinary
Yes.
expectations, sir.
I am a board-certified chef through the American Culinary Federation. I received some of my training at Richland. Richland Community College, believe it or not, has a phenomenal culinary program. And I was able to get my certification there. I've been to several countries and learned their cuisine. I've learned their techniques. I've had the benefit of working for a Fortune, I think they're a Fortune 25 company now. I was actually able to work in the capacity of an executive chef for Archer Daniels Midland, cooking for the board of directors there and the presidents and for companies like Coca-Cola and what have you. So I've got I've learned a lot. I truly have embraced this. It's a passion. I love food. Not more than God.
Okay. I'm glad you cleaned that up.
Yeah, I agree with you, Judy.
Quick to throw that disclaimer in. I'll hear that. Father, what is your, other than wayward souls, and God knows there's plenty of them, and I don't want to be facetious about this, since you've been to Lincoln, what is one of your, other than trying to get people to go to church, which is an ever-present problem for every minister or priest, what is one of your most challenging things that you face since you've come to Lincoln, sir?
That's a really good question. I think one of the challenges that a priest faces whenever he goes into a new community is trying to understand the heartbeat of the community and the heartbeat of the parish. What's important to the community? What's important to the parish? What's their history? What are their concerns? Where do they want to go as a faith community? Where have they been in the past? So all those things, you put all that together and it becomes very complex because you're dealing with people, lots of people. And so I would say that's always one of the biggest challenges when you go to a new church.
The classes in seminary can't begin to touch what you're going to experience when you get out in the real world.
Well, absolutely.
That's just the way it is.
Correct, but that's probably true in many professions. They give you a few tools, but once you get out into whatever your particular profession is, that's where the rubber meets the road, so to speak.
Yes.
And so you try to take those tools that you learn, when you're in school, for myself in the seminary, but then how do you translate it into the lives of real people who come to Mass on Sunday? That can be a real challenge.
And you've you've served other parishes.
That's correct.
So can you really learn from that parish when you go to the next?
Well, you do learn, just like I suppose like any other profession, you do learn skills along the way and how to work with people and how to administer and
then you have to just kind of like fine-tune them for.
You do, yeah.
So you can bloom where you're planted.
Correct, and then you also have to make adjustments depending on what particular community you're working in. And so, for example, I oversee our four Catholic churches here in Logan County, and so each parish has got its own personality, it's got its own history. Each parish has got its own heartbeat, if I can use that word. And so, when you have to learn that, and you might have to adjust, from one community to the next, because what's the concern at St. Mary's in Atlanta might not be the concern at St. Thomas Aquinas and Mount Pulaski. What's the concern in Lincoln at Holy Family is maybe not the concern at St. Patrick's and Elkhart. So each one of those places requires maybe similar skill sets, but yet different skill sets.
You have to fine-tune yourself.
That's right, you do.
And in each and every community, whether it's the St. Thomas or St. Patrick's and Elkhart, each and every one of us have our own little distinctive members of our parishes that we go
Correct.
to.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to learn how to adjust to them, and you have to mollify some people. That's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see, sir, in your service to God and our community, an increase in opiates?
I know it's out there. Do I deal with it every day? I don't deal with it every day. I know it's out there, though.
I'm glad to hear that, because I know it's a great concern to our
Yes, I
our
know
law
it is.
departments
Yes.
here, and rightfully so.
I'm sure the medical profession and the first responders see a lot more than I would. I do know I am aware that it's an issue, not just in our community, but in many communities.
Well, addiction is addiction, whether it's booze or drugs or whatever. It's a terrible disease, and
It is indeed.
it's
Yes.
it takes a fine line to treat somebody with an addictive problem and be successful with it. And,
Yes.
it's a job that very few of us, even though we're professionally trained in your background, your seminary background, and so forth. When you hit it first on the street firsthand, it's another story. You can hear about this story and that story, and no matter what but until you experience it firsthand and you're amongst your own friends or in your own parish, it's an entirely different story. So I'm happy to know that. Oh my goodness gracious! I just looked up at the clock. Sorry about that. Father Jeff Laible, Mr. Wayne Cox, we appreciate your giving your time this morning.
Thank you for having us. We're very
Talking
grateful.
about the Mardi
Thank
Gras. That's this Saturday. Doors are open at 6 hours. That's what we used to say in the military. That's 1,800 hours. And so that's 6 o'clock. Those of you who can't convert, that's 12-hour time system. Go. You'll have a good time. We always try to close with a comment or two, and I found this Mark Twain about the Mardi Gras. And America has not seen the U.S. until it has seen the Mardi Gras in New Orleans. You might be right about that. You can substitute that a little bit by going out to
The Knights
of Columbus. Thank you.
Vacations,
At the end of Broadway and Pulaski Street there.
And it doesn't cost you that much to get there.
That's right.
And you have a whale of a time. Wayne and Father Laible, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.